What's up, guys? Today we're looking at mid lane Nasus in Wild Rift. Let's get into it. Forget the top lane today. We're breaking down why mid Nasus actually works, along with the game plan and advantages. Why mid lane Nasus? The answer is simple. Compared to the top lane, the lane is much shorter, making it easier to retreat to safety under your tower. Plus, because enemy mid lane mages are squishy, locking them down with Wither allows you to run them down and burst them down completely. Before we get into his abilities, let's talk about how to survive and play out the landing phase. First rule of playing Nasus: level 1 Nasus is straight up hot garbage. I'm not even joking, he is unbelievably weak. If you try to scrap early, you're gonna lose lane priority, get zoned off CS, and bleed tower plates. Seriously, play safe and respect level 1. We all know Nasus lives and dies by his Q stacks, but at level 1, your Q hits like a wet noodle. You gotta time it right down to the last millimeter when the minion is on absolute sliver HP. Timing your Q with last hits is key to stacking efficiently. Cannon minions give you a massive stack boost, so do whatever it takes not to miss them. His E is super strong for wave clear and AoE, but it eats through your mana pool. Spam that shit too much, and you'll go home in no time, so don't overdo it. Against mages, their cooldown windows after they waste their spells are your window to walk up and secure CS. Always track enemy cooldowns in lane. Mages are entirely spell reliant. Once they blow their kit, they're literally just walking bean sprouts with zero threat. The secret to playing mid Nasus is all about how you survive the early game. Seriously, getting through this rough, early landing phase is everything. This Cinder matchup is actually pretty chill. I'm getting easy last hits, and my Q stacks are stacking up nicely. Alright, RJG is pulling up for a gank. Let's look for the play. Nasus W puts a massive slow on them. That is huge. We got the kill, so the rest of this lane is basically on cruise control. While Syndra is missing, I'm just gonna chill and farm up my Q stacks. Going against a good mage is pain. They'll time their CC right on your Q animation and chunk you for half your HP with a full combo. It's so brutal, and your health bar just vanishes. Once you get heavily chunked out, you're not even safe under your own turret. That's why keeping that HP bar healthy in the early game is literally top priority. To keep things smooth in the early game while you're learning, always lock and fleet footwork for your runes. It's a lifesaver. The main reason you run fleet on Nasus is to survive getting poked to death by ranged champs, so you can actually walk up and farm your stacks in peace. Mid lane is frequently packed with ranged champions like mages and assassins. Early on, Nasus is short range and is totally vulnerable, so trying to go for minion kills usually means taking free, uncontested damage. By proccing fleet on minions and stacking it with your passive lifesteal, you get insane sustain and can just permanently stay in lane without getting forced out. When fleet is rev-ate up, hitting a minion, especially a cannon, with your Q gives you a huge burst of movement speed to reposition. This allows you to quickly back off right after securing a Q stack before the enemy's skills or counterattack can reach you, keeping the damage you take to an absolute minimum. Grasp is a staple in top lane, but it forces you to actually hit the enemy champ to get any value out of the healing and stacking. Running up to trade with ranged champs in mid just to proc Grasp is basically suicide. Did you guys see that? Wither is a death sentence for mages. That slow is so disgusting, they literally have zero chance to run away. In the mid to late game, combining your rune's movement speed boost with Nasus's, Wither allows you to aggressively run down high mobility mid laners and ranged carries who would normally kite you out and take them down. Landing phase is safely out of the way, so mid game is where Nasus takes over. People think he's a late game monster, but honestly, his real peak is the mid game, not late. Alright, things are settling down a bit, so let's break down his kit. Passive, Soul Eater. This is literally what keeps Nasus alive and breathing in lane. You just get a baseline of lifesteal all the time, and that percentage scales up nicely as you level. It doesn't just work on enemy champs, you're also healing up off minions and jungle camps with your autos and Q. When you stack Fleet's healing with your passive, you can literally heal back to full just by smacking minions, even if you get heavily poked. This is the exact reason Mid Nasus can survive those brutal early levels. Skill, Siphoning Strike. This is basically Nasus's identity right here, the entire engine behind his scaling and insane damage. Your next auto is empowered for extra physical damage, and if you last hit anything with it, you get a permanent stack that permanently buffs the skill's damage. Regular minions and small camps give you 4 stacks, but cannons, supers, champs, and epic monsters like Drake or Baron give you a fat 8 stacks. If you weave your Q right after an auto, you animation cancel the delay and instantly slam them with your empowered hit. Early game is all about hyper-focusing on farming Q stacks, but once you cross 200 or 300 stacks mid-game, that Q turns into a terrifying nuke that can literally chunk squishies for over half their health bar in one single bonk. W Wither. Easily one of the most oppressive single target debuffs in the entire game, whether on PC or Wild Rift. It targets one enemy champ and ramps down both their move speed and attack speed for a full 5 seconds. The slow just keeps scaling up the longer it lasts until it hits max power. It doesn't just nuke their move speed, it guts their attack speed too. Champs who rely entirely on autos, like Yasuo Yone, Tryndamere, and every ADC out there, literally cannot do a single thing once this is tossed on them. Whenever the enemy jungler tries to gank, you just toss this on whoever's running at you, and you're totally safe to walk away. Save it for when your Q is stacked up, or your jungler comes in to help. They literally cannot walk out of it, and you just drag them kicking and screaming right into your kill zone. E. Spirit Fire. This is the bread and butter AoE tool that totally opens up how you play Mid Nasus. It drops a fiery zone on a targeted area, nuking them with upfront magic damage, and then burning anyone inside while shredding their armor by a percentage. If the poke in lane is just way too oppressive and you can't walk up for Q stacks, you just pivot into maxing E. It lets you clear waves safely from afar, stops you from getting perma-pushed under tower, and keeps your HP bar healthy. Since the armor shred is so huge, if you drop a Q on someone standing in the fire, they get completely vaporized for way more damage than they bargained for. Plus, in teamfights, it amps up all the physical damage your AD teammates dish out. Ultimate, Fury of the Sands, or just R. This is the ultimate raid boss button that literally turns Nasus into an absolute monster. He bulks up for 15 seconds, instantly gaining a massive chunk of HP and resistances. On top of that, he burns everyone around him with a constant aura and slashes his Q cooldown in half the whole time. Since your Q cooldown gets slashed, you're tossing out stacked QS every couple of seconds like a machine gun. Any squishy or mid-tier champ gets completely deleted before they even realize what happened. When someone tries to greedy dive you on absolute 1 HP, you just drop or debate them with a sudden health spike, completely mental boom their math, and bounce back for a clean-out play. Triforce is literally Nasus's best friend. It's got everything he could possibly want: AD, health, attack speed, and ability haste all rolled into one. It buffs up your next auto after casting a spell. Since this literally stacks straight onto Nasus's Q, your Q damage goes completely through the roof. Hitting enemies gives you a nice move speed boost, so when you pair it with Fleet Footwork, your hit and run game gets completely locked down. Just drop a Q and zip right out. Sundered Sky is an item that maximizes Nasus's single hit power and sustain to their absolute limits. Your very first bonk on an enemy champ is a guaranteed 160% crit. Since that stacks right onto your Q, you can literally one-shot squishies down to absolute paper-thin HP in a single hit. That crit drops a massive heal based on your missing HP. Toss in your passive Vamp, Fleet, and Sundered Sky healing, and you turn into a literal unkillable raid boss that 1v5s teamfights and just won't stay down. Once you finish your core 2, just flex into whatever your team needs. Grab Frozen Heart, Randuin's, Spirit Visage, or Jack Show depending on the lobby. Even playing Mid Nasus, Once landing phase wraps up and outer turrets drop, you want to pivot mid over to your ADC and go shove side lanes. Split pushing is where Nasus truly shines and takes over the map. Mid-game rolls around, and your bot lane duo moves mid to group. If you stay sharing waves, your team will accidentally steal your Q farm. Heading to a side lane solo lets you vacuum up every single minion and turn the entire wave into free stacks. A stacked up Nasus absolutely melts towers with his Q. While the enemy team is busy Aramai G mid and ignoring side lanes, you can literally solo delete their inner and inhibitor towers in seconds and just close out the game. Once a stacked Nasus is split pushing, they literally can't send just one guy. You draw 2 or 3 people top or bot. That completely splits their map pressure and lets your team secure free Drakes or Baron while the enemy is busy dealing with you. Even with the huger stats, Nasus is literally 0 dashes. If you just run it down mid straight into the enemy team, you'll get perma-CC'd, kite to death, and melt it before you can even auto someone. Nasus might look like a frontline tank, but he's actually a juggernaut fighter. Let your Malphite or a Momo start the fight, wait for the enemy to burn all their hard CC, and then roll in as the cleanup crew. As soon as a team fight starts, lock your W onto their main hypercarry, like the ADC, Yasuo or Yone. Wither completely shatters both their move speed and attack speed, turning their DPS into an absolute joke and keeping you alive in the process. People get this wrong all the time. Nasus's Q stacking goes to the moon, but his defenses sure don't. If you get caught out and focused by 5 people, you're literally going to melt instantly. You often see Nasus players who are so obsessed with stacking their Q that they refuse to push, just sitting there waiting for their Q cooldown. That's a bad habit. Knowing how to identify the exact moments when you must sacrifice your stacks to rotate and help your team is the key to drastically increasing your win rate as Nasus. Knowing when to join a team fight versus when to push towers is crucial. If your team is already getting wiped and your death would be meaningless, you need the courage to skip the fight and trade it for a side lane tower instead. I've got a ton more to talk about, but we'll save it for the next one. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that subscribe button before you go. Catch you in the next one.